Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. I remember this old Far Side comic. I don't know how many of you know Far Side. It's been gone for probably 20 years now. To me, it's one of the two great comic strips of all time, Calvin and Hobbes and Far Side, the Far Side. And in this comic, it's a one-page comic, and it shows this guy riddled with arrows. And in the background, there's an Indian, and he's beside a covered wagon, and he says to his friend, he says, "Yeah, Clem, I hurt, but you know, it's a good kind of hurt." And I just look at it and I laugh about it. You know, this guy's riddled with arrows and he's rationalizing it away. It's a good kind of hurt. And there are good kinds of hurt in life, but I think for most of us, most of the time, the hurts that we endure, the arrows that pierce us are not so good for us. And one of the things I've learned in my work here at Trillium, in my life generally as I get older, is that everyone's hurting in some kind of way. Everyone, not just some, not even most people, everyone is hurting in some kind of way. We're struggling with physical pain, acute pain, you break your arm, but more likely chronic pain, arthritis or irritable bowel syndrome or some kind of malady in our bodies. And we got to find some way to bring joy into our lives. No one told me that one of my great challenges as I get older is how to live an effective, joy-filled, meaningful life, even in the midst of pain, chronic pain. But it might not be physical pain. Maybe it's emotional anguish that's causing the hurt in people's lives. I remember when I was 20 and I had a huge amount of emotional anguish in my life. Not a lot of physical pain, but emotional anguish about my family, my parents, just life generally, my friendships, my circumstances. And if it's not emotional anguish, maybe it's social alienation. Because there's a lot of hurting people who are pushed to the margins of life in so many different kinds of ways. And they just are deeply lonesome. When I go into old age homes, I see a lot of lonesome people that don't know, where the connection's going to be for them in life. They've just been abandoned in a sense. And sometimes people have spiritual anguish like this, like God, like what's this life about? Why am I here? Why am I even here? I know this one child who struggles with this. I know an 8-year-old struggling with trying to figure out why they're even here. They don't even know why they're here. So it might be physical, it might be emotional, it might be social, it might be spiritual, but we all are struggling with some kind of hurt in our life, at least one kind. And they all overlap each other. And it's tempting to be like that old timer riddled with arrows and just rationalizing it off by saying it's a good kind of hurt. But I don't think that's going to really work well for us. And I think at the core of the hurt for all of us, in all its different kinds, is the fact that we're kind of detached, or we've been forced to be detached from life. We're disconnected from life. The scriptures say that our fundamental disconnect is between God and ourselves, and that spills out into our human relationships. All the wars of life, all the way people go around hurting each other and killing each other and making life difficult for each other is because at some fundamental level we're disconnected from God and from ourselves. And only disconnected people could pollute the rivers the way we do and pollute the air the way we do and warm the planet the way we are warming our planet and not think it's going to really ultimately matter that much. And it seems to me that if we're going to be serious about a healing ministry at the church and in life, that it's always about reconnecting ourselves to God and to our neighbor, to the environment, to sense the wholeness in all things and how we're a part of this wholeness. We say here at Trillium that we're the hands of God, that when that flow works and when the love of the Creator comes pouring through us, that we literally become the hands of God and we are healed. I saw one of the most amazing healing videos I ever saw recently. It was called How Wolves Change Rivers. And it's about how Yellowstone had been, in a sense, really marred by the extinction of wolves in the park and how it had affected the environment, changed the course of rivers. And a few years back, they reintroduced the wolves, 66 wolves in this huge park. You wouldn't think it'd make much difference at all, but it changed everything. And wolves, it turns out, are connected to rivers. They change how the rivers flow. It's called the trophic cascading. I'm thinking, what is that one little change you need to make in your life? I need to make in my life that's going to change everything. What's that one little change that's going to cascade down and bring healing to us? That's going to reconnect us to our neighbor and to the world we live in and to our Creator. I don't have the answer for you personally. That's something you're going to have to figure out on your own. But I do know this, that it is worthy of your attention. And when that cascading moment comes, when that trophic event comes in your life, I pray for you that you will embrace it and allow it to be.